You're playing Crokinole and you can't get the opponent's pieces off. This is building off our last video where we looked at making contact with the opponent's pieces. I think this issue arises most out of how Crokinole is first explained to you. The rule is to make a valid shot when opponent pieces are in play, you must make contact. And in a lot of video explanations, we're guilty of this, we say all you need to do is make contact, which builds a bad habit of lightly touching the piece rather than giving it enough power. So that's going to be the first tip. Just give a little extra oomph behind your shot. What you don't want to see, which happens to a lot of players, is you're so worried about just making contact that you're touching it too lightly for it to go. So just give it a little extra push to get it to go. The second thing to consider is the line that opponent piece is going to take. This again builds off what we talked about last week, imagining that visual line between your shooter to the opponent. Now, before you take your shot, I also want you to imagine that line from the opponent's piece to the gutter. For example, if I hit this straight on, it is most likely going to carry on straight to go out. So with those two tips in mind, giving your shot a little extra oomph and visualizing that line between the opponent's piece to the gutter, let's do the same drill from last week, except let's add that you need to get the opponent's piece off. You're going to put the opponent piece in the same spots where the quadrant boundary and the 10 line meet, at the 10 line in the middle of the quadrant boundaries, not including the furthest quadrant from you. Total of 7 spots. You are going to shoot and make sure you get the piece into the gutter. Again, I don't want you to worry about keeping your shooter on. As long as the opponent's piece goes out of play, consider it a win. And once again, if you can do that all the way around the board in all 7 of those spots, you've probably got a good hang of knowing how much power you need to take the opponent piece off and the line it'll go to go into the gutter. That brings us to our next video, which is keeping your shooter on. You can probably see the skill we're trying to build. Making contact, hitting the opponent piece off, and finally, keeping your piece in play. So stay tuned for that. If you have any questions about this or any questions about Crokinole in general, make sure to let us know in the comments. And as always, happy flicking.